President Trump's Education Secretary Betsy DeVos will head up the president's new Federal Commission on School Safety. In the last 24 hours, she has been grilled in a series of interviews, including this exchange from the NBC Today show this morning.
Do you think teachers should be able to carry assault weapons, since presumably they may face assault weapons? Do you have an opinion on that?
I don't think assault weapons in schools carried by any school personnel is the appropriate thing. But again, this is an issue that I think is best decided at the local level by communities and by states.
But a student could legally carry an assault weapon, a student over 18.
Not in schools they can't.
Okay, so you still want the schools to be gun-free zones, except for the teachers?
I think schools have to be protected like every other large gathering place.
All right, let's bring back Maggie Haberman. You know, look, DeVos has got problems in terms of acumen and expertise in the own area that she's controlling. Guns are just dumped on her plate, and there's going to be struggle because there's not a lot of common sense flow to the restriction.
Right.
But this is what happens. You know, someone's going to have to be in charge of how to put guns in the schools and in teachers' hands, and it's going to come down on her in large amount.
I think so. I mean, what they said last night on this call with reporters is that the Justice Department is actually going to be the agency that's going to be working with schools and with local officials. She is chairing this commission. I can't get a sense of whether there's a direction they want to take. It basically sounds like a punt. They formed this commission. Justice Department is going to work with local officials on this rigorous firearms training, was their description of it. Does not sound like there's a new funding flow. Does not exactly make clear what we're talking about in terms of what type of firearms and so forth, other than it's not appropriate to have an assault-style rifle in schools or assault weapon in schools. I think that this is not going to satisfy a lot of people who thought that there was actually going to be a different type of conversation after this particular shooting. To your point, some of this is not her fault. I mean, this is essentially this football that she was told to go carry. But in general, there is a sense of sort of a lack of preparedness, not just by her, but by every official who has had to contend with this issue, because they don't really have answers. And essentially, they're laying out this commission as a form of delaying questions.
You know, people are obviously worried about arming teachers. Some people really support it and think it would be really helpful. Some people, it makes them very nervous to think that there would be guns in kids' classrooms. And so Savannah Guthrie this morning was asking specific questions about how many and where will the gun be on the person? It will be locked in a door. And, you know, it sounds as though the Education Secretary hasn't necessarily thought these things through. Here's another portion.
What percentage of teachers at schools would need to be armed, in your mind, to be effective?
I don't have a percentage.
Would there be an armed teacher in every classroom?
I don't think that would be appropriate, and I don't think anybody would agree that that would be.
What about in every grade?
I don't think that would be either.
Should the teachers wear their weapons outside so everybody can see it, including little kids, presumably, or should they conceal them so that there's that element of surprise?
Look, this is an issue that is best decided by local communities and by states. It is not going to be appropriate in every location.
I mean, and the problem is that this follows on the heels of last night's 60 Minutes, where she was asked about her home state, Michigan. And, well, we actually have that as well. Let's play this for a moment.
Have the public schools in Michigan gotten better?
I don't know overall. I can't say overall that they have all gotten better.
The whole state is not doing well.
Well, there are certainly lots of pockets where the students are doing well.
Have you seen the really bad schools? Maybe try to figure out what they're doing? I have not intentionally visited schools that are underperforming. Maybe you should.
Maybe I should, yes.
Okay, so this left the impression that perhaps she's not equipped to answer some of these basic questions.
Right. I mean, look, this is different, I would say, than the guns issue. The guns issue just seems like something, that's more holistic in terms of interagency or involving several agencies and the White House, and they all don't seem to really know what they want to do. That's her area. She is the Education Secretary. She has built herself as an expert in terms of specific educational plans, in terms of school choice and so forth. Being unable to answer basic questions about bad schools in your home state, I think for any parent of a school-age child, but especially kids in the public school system, especially kids in the public school system in Michigan, that's a pretty disturbing answer. And it is one of the things that we have seen over and over with this president's cabinet picks, is when you do not pick subject matter experts, they are not necessarily going to know what they are talking about, but you would expect those kinds of answers maybe 2 months into the administration. We're 14 months in now.
And look, I mean, just from a primer on political playbook, you go to the places that are negatively impacted within your purview just to show that you care. It actually gives you cover to not have to do as much about it if you don't want to. I mean, just to be cynical about it, that's what you usually see. They haven't even gotten that right. But, you know, the gun stuff matters. Because, look, Savannah was doing something that was very plain. She was asking basic common sense questions to expose that they don't know what they're going to do, except, and the truth matters on this, make the NRA and its constituency happy. They like the idea of more guns. Good guy with a gun beats bad guy with a gun. Why wouldn't you want it with every teacher? Why wouldn't it be in every classroom? Why wouldn't you do that if that's your logical continuum? More guns equals more safe. Why not? Because it shows that they aren't even comfortable with it 100%.
I think that's right. I also just think that, look, I think that this is not just about making the NRA comfortable. I think it's about the staff in the White House showing a president who doesn't really seem to know exactly what he wants to do, that they're doing something, and being able to show reporters that they are doing something and have something that you can put on TV and something that you can have written up in news accounts. Beyond that, I don't think it does a whole lot. And again, I'm harking back to what I said before. I suspect we are going to see some tweet from the president saying, you know, fake news says I'm not focused on the age minimum anymore. Wrong.